So she has some great information about the program that she can be sharing with you if you have any questions specifically. So, how's our presentation? Do you want me to just go ahead and get started?
Yeah, I think because I handed you off the presenter, it's not letting me share any longer. Up at the top, are you able to assign it back to me so I can try sharing it again?
Oh, what if I can share a file with you? I'm just going to try one thing really fast and I'll work on it back your way.
Amanda, would you like to introduce yourself in the meantime?
Sure. Sorry, I had to restart my. Well, I don't think we use WebEx event. We use WebEx meetings, and so our computers are both like, "What is this?" So I had to restart it to get my mic to work. My name's Amanda Lim. I'm the Education and Outreach Specialist here at TGEN. I've been with TGEN since 2009. I started as an intern in the labs, actually, and I spent about 8 years at the bench, a molecular biologist in the neurogenomics division, doing next generation sequencing before Kristen recruited me over to the education and outreach team, and I've been there for almost a year now.
The majority of that with COVID, so we haven't really been able to see each other in person a whole heck of a lot, but we definitely are working on lots of different opportunities for our student population. So I'm hoping that you're seeing that it's loading, and then we can, once it's loaded, we can get started on our presentation. That's our goal. But really what we're here to talk to you about, I'm going to go a little bit around the background of TGEN and what TGEN is all about, why we're here, and then I'm going to also talk to you about our Helios Scholars Internship. And it looks like everybody's frozen on my end.
We could see you.
Oh, perfect.
You're working.
Yeah.
I'm being frozen on my end. I'm like, oh, I hope I'm talking to somebody.
You are.
So I'll start as this is loading just to give you a little background. Our Helios Scholars at TGEN, we're entering into our 15th year. Our 14th year actually had to get canceled, but we didn't fully cancel. We went to a virtual model this past summer. So that 14th year is a little different. We didn't have any specific scholars on site with us, but we did run a virtual program where we had students working with us in a virtual platform, meeting with us 3 to 4 times a week for an hour to 2 hours, just learning science and networking skills and presentations. So that's kind of what we were working on this past year, but typically we hire 45 summer interns every year where you're coming in and you're working at the bench, working with our scientists, working on some authentic research opportunities. And so hopefully you get a little bit of learning from this presentation that we'll be giving you today, and hopefully it's going to work. So we do have Amanda, as she has already mentioned. She's our Education Outreach Specialist, a great resource. She really helps to oversee the entire program for Helios Scholars, so she's a great resource for that. I'm Kristen. Again, 18 years as a professional educator in the classroom with high school students as well as college students. And then I came here to TGEN about 1.5 to 2 years ago at this point. And so to give you a little bit of background and catch up on my time right now, our mission at TGEN is we are a private nonprofit research institute performing genomic research on complex diseases and disorders such as neurological disease, cancer, and infectious disease. And so this overall mission is seen throughout all of our different spaces that we have, throughout all the research, as well as the administrative staff that we have. And so when we're looking at that mission overall, we are here to make and translate discoveries into diagnostics, therapies, and treatments that are catered to the individual needs of our patients. And so what we're really looking at is what we call precision medicine. And so to give you some information about our institute, we were established in 2002 by our president and research director, Dr. Jeffrey Trent. He was leadership in the scientific, he was scientific leadership in the Human Genome Project, which was going on in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he realized that there was so much information packed into the DNA. And so back in the late 90s, there were two or three different groups that were working on the Human Genome Project, kind of a race to see who could sequence the human the fastest. And so they were able to sequence one human and it took them 10 years, and it took about $2.7 billion. Most people are going to say about $3 billion just to round that to a nice round figure. Today, we're able to do that much faster rates because of the research and the technology that has advanced in the past 18 to 20 years. So definitely some great research that we're able to do, and the findings that we're able to see through that is just so impressive, I think. We did move into our state-of-the-art building downtown Phoenix, and so if you are a Helios Scholar, most of our Helios Scholars typically go to this building, although this year we're looking outside of the box for any other potential internship opportunities that we can fund to put people and make sure that we are able to host at least 45 students for the summer this year. Our inspiration and the reason that behind TGEN is that we are striving to unravel the genetic components of complex and common diseases through a stronger understanding of the diseases, earlier detection of those diseases, smarter treatments and more personalized treatments, and then better outcomes. And I'm going to kind of go through briefly each of these different areas as I walk through our approach and what we are doing in the labs. So you have some background before I really talk to you about Helios and what you can potentially get from Helios this upcoming summer.
Kristen, I have a question that came in, and I don't know if you'll cover it yet or not, but a student asked, what is a Helios Scholar?
Great question. So a Helios Scholar is anybody that is currently a registered student for the fall of the next year, so fall 2021. You're going to be a registered student. You are interested in learning more or getting some hands-on experience in the biomedical research field. This is a paid 8-week internship program opportunity where you are working on authentic research. We take anywhere from undergraduate level students up through medical school, but the majority of our students are actually undergraduate students. And so it can be a community college, it can be a university. There are a couple requirements. One is that you're 16 years old. Another, and I will talk about a little bit more detail as we get a little further in the presentation. The other is that you have Arizona residency. And so with Arizona residency, what that means to us at TGEN is that you've either graduated from an Arizona high school or you are attending an Arizona college or university. And as a individual that's going to Glendale Community College, you fall into that Arizona residency. I hope that answers your question.
I think there was also one other question. A student was a Helios Scholar in summer 2020. And so I think they're asking and was wondering whether the summer 2021 internship would be done in person. And so I guess it's a two-part question. Would the summer 2021 be done in person? And if they were a Helios Scholar beforehand, would it impact their ability to be a Helios Scholarship again?
So our ultimate goal is that we're running in person. I have everything kind of set up right now that we are planning to run in person. And so our goal, unless United States shuts down or Arizona shuts down, is that we are an in-person program this year. So on that note, I'm going to just say we're in person and go with a very optimistic viewpoint. For the question, if you have been a Helios Scholar in 2020 in the virtual program, will that affect you for 2021? Because we never announced the final 45 for last year, all of the individuals are able to reapply for Helios status this upcoming year. You're also allowed 2 years where you're an in-person intern. So 2020 doesn't really count for that in-person training. We want to make sure that everybody has the same opportunities as all of the other alumni that we've had in the past. So if you were a Helios Scholar virtual in 2020, the benefit that you have is you have a lot more information to help you build your personal statement. So you know more about TGEN, you know about the precision medicine that we're working on. You've had a lot of information given to you if you were part of those seminars that you can fit into that personal statement to really make you shine above some of the other individuals that are applying as well. So make sure that you're spending time on the personal statement to use what you learned over 2020 to benefit you for 2021 application. Okay? And so if I'm looking at back to kind of our approach at TGEN, a traditional medicine model, we have you and I going to the doctor. The doctor kind of looks at our issues, kind of diagnoses us, and there's different drugs that they can give us. Well, they give us one drug, all right? And so we both get the same drug, and for some of us, it's going to benefit. Others, there's not going to be a benefit. And then we've all heard that series of side effects, that long list that we never want to listen to, all right? So kind of give you an idea of this traditional medicine model. Back in 2002, we didn't know any of the drivers for lung cancer, and so it was an unknown. And so most of the individuals that were diagnosed with lung cancer were given a chemotherapeutic treatment. And if you know anything about chemotherapy, there are lots of negative side effects that go along with chemotherapeutics. And so everybody was getting that. Some of them had benefit from it, but a lot of them didn't really receive any benefit. And so at TGEN, we're looking at a more precision model. And so when I'm talking to you about a precision model, here we have those same individuals going to the doctor. We are now looking at the DNA of those individuals. And when we're looking at the DNA of those individuals, we can look at specific mutations that are occurring within the DNA, and we can really cater the drug treatment that we're giving to those individuals. And so we see fewer side effects and fewer no benefits when we're looking at this more precision model. Bringing it back to that lung cancer model, in 2020, we do have several known drivers for lung cancer at this point in time, as well as several drugs that work really well for those drivers. And so we're able to now cater the drug treatment or the treatment plan based on your genomics versus just you have lung cancer. So we're looking at like an EGFR mutation or an ALK mutation. So we can look at those and really make sure that you're getting the best treatment for the mutation that's being found in your lung cancer. Now, we still have a series of unknowns, and so a lot of times they'll go through several different treatment options to see if one's going to work, oftentimes starting with chemotherapy, but we have much more knowledge. And so really overall what we're finding is that knowledge is power. And so we understand the gene mutation in this personalized treatment. We get some knowledge about that gene mutation, and then we can create more effective treatment plans for the patients overall. So that personalized medicine is key at TGEN. And so we're looking at all the different omic spaces. We have our genome, which is your DNA. We have our transcriptome, which is that messenger RNA that will carry the recipe to the ribosome to create the protein, and so also the proteome. So we work with DNA, we work with RNA, and we work with protein. And I think that's really unique to TGEN, where a lot of different research organizations are only working in one space, where we have lab space working on all three of those. We are located lots of different locations. So you might be thinking to yourself, I live in Flagstaff. I don't want to sit and work in Phoenix for a summer. It's 120 degrees out. I don't blame you. So we do have a Flagstaff location. That's our pathogen genomics unit. They've been breaking news recently just because of their work with COVID. We have been working and testing COVID patients and samples. Actually, we don't see patients in the actual building, but we are collecting their samples and bringing them back for research and for also identifying positive cases and giving them their positive status or negative status. Our primary building is TGEN headquarters. It's down on 5th Street in Van Buren. Here we also have a CLIA certified lab, a Cheyenne, which is on our 1st floor. We have a small clinical area over on Osborne, and that's our Center for Rare Childhood Disorders, where we're looking and seeing patients that are going through what we call a diagnostic odyssey, where they may have seen 10 or 15 different doctors and still not have a diagnosis for their condition. We also have some other clinical spaces at Honor Health and Mayo, where you might see our TGEN logo as you move through the community. Two of the centers that we have on site here at headquarters, we have our Collaborative Center for Translational Mass Spectrometry. This is where we're looking at proteins and the chemicals that are making up different samples. So we're using mass spectrometry to get the different weights and charges that are found within a sample. This can be a saliva sample, blood sample, cell sample. It could even be, I know they've done fecal samples before, but this is Dr. Perot, who's the director of this. One of the projects that they've worked on here in the past is a concussion study where they're looking at the proteins that are found pre-concussion and post-concussion in saliva. And so in hopes that if we can find a particular protein that's being made after a concussion, can we make a mouth guard that will change color in the presence of that protein so we can get a really quick, immediate, quick diagnosis on the field post-concussion. and get that individual treatment as quickly as possible. We also have Dr. Keats. He's the director of our Collaborative Sequencing Center, and this is going to be where we are sequencing all of the research that we're doing. So this is going to be our NovaSeq, which is doing whole genomic sequencing overall. Our Collaborative Sequencing Center, if I have time, I'll take you into the building. But our NovaSeq, remember the Human Genome Project that was 10 years, one human genome, $2.7 billion. Today, our NovaSeq on a full flow cell can run about 50 samples in about 48 hours, and it's going to cost about $1,000 per sample. So definitely more cost effective in 2020 than it was back in 2000. There are lots of different groups that are supporting all of the science, and so I share this with you just because a lot of people think that Helios Scholars are only for those individuals that are in and really interested in science and research, but there's a lot of people supporting that science and research. And so if you're really interested in writing grants and you want to learn more about writing grants, you can apply into the Helios program to potentially work with our grant writers. Research and compliance, environmental health and safety, our purchasing department. The sky is the limit. We also have the clinical team, so you might not want to be at the bench, but you want to be in the clinics with our doctors and researchers that are working within the clinical space as well. So making sure that you are opening up your options so you realize that it's not really just about being a wet lab scientist, but there's also computer scientists. We have marketing communications individuals that we bring in as well throughout the summer. Some of our areas of research, for those of you who are really into the science focus, we have our neurological diseases and disorders such as ALS, Alzheimer's, and autism. We have our rare childhood disorders as well. We have our infectious disease unit, so this is going to be working on antibiotic resistance, working on the microbiome and all the bacteria and whatnot that are in your body naturally. Valley fever and MRSA are some other projects that they're working on, as well as tuberculosis. That's all up on our Flagstaff location. We keep all those infectious agents out of Phoenix, and we keep them in Flagstaff. We also have our metabolic diseases, so this is including diabetes and renal disease. We have a drug discovery lab where we're working on making new novel compounds that can potentially go into new drugs for treatment. We also have a lot of different cancer research going on site between breast cancer, brain cancer, pancreatic cancer is a big one, ovarian cancer, multiple myelomas as well. So lots of different research areas, and that's really just dependent on the scientists that we have on site and what their major area of focus is at the time. And so in breaking news, if you are following TGEN, biomedical research, TGEN has definitely made the news a lot recently with our COVID testing. We were reached out, the CDC reached out to us back in December when this first became an issue worldwide, and we were able to very quickly create an actual assay where we could test COVID samples and allow for that information to get back to the patient. So we got CLIA certified, emergency CLIA certified, so we could run these samples as quickly as possible. To date, we've run over 40,000 samples, and we guarantee a turnaround time for positivity, so you know the result of your test within 48 hours, which I think is pretty great, especially considering when all the testing first started, people were waiting 10 to 15 weeks or 5 to 10 weeks. 5 to 10 days to get their results. So, you know, what are you going to do? Like, you're waiting 5 days to know that you're negative when you could have been doing some other things, or you're waiting 5 to 10 days and you're acting like I'm negative, but you're actually positive and you're asymptomatic and now you're spreading. So we really think that a fast turnaround time for your knowledge of if you're COVID positive or not is very important. And these are some of the amazing scientists that we have working up at that CLIA certified lab at our Flagstaff location. We also work on a stronger understanding. So these are some of the scientists that are working in getting a better understanding of the drivers, the genomic drivers of the different cancers and diseases that they work with. We have Dr. Hunnelman working with Alzheimer's, really understanding a healthy brain, a healthy aging brain versus an Alzheimer's aging brain. And he does that through a mind crowd study. We have Dr. Kim working on breast cancer and the genomic drivers that are causing for breast cancer and the different types of breast cancer. We also have Dr. Hendricks working with animal cancer studies. So he actually is opening up a spinoff known as Vidium, where he's looking at dog cancer and relating a general understanding of what's happening in dog cancers and seeing how that relates and translates into humans, since we do share some DNA relatedness. Bringing it to Dr. Hunnelman with the MindCrowd study. If you're over 18, we would love for you to come in and take a test. It's all done online at mindcrowd.org. You can't do it from a cell phone, but you can do it from a general computer. About 10 minutes where you're asked a series of different questions that will then add into a bank. And so what we're really interested in seeing is how the healthy brain ages versus that aging of an individual that has Alzheimer's. And what really interests our scientists are these individuals up in this quadrant of the graph that you're seeing here. Every single dot that you see is another person that's participated. But up here we have people that are older that generally have lower scores if you're looking at the overall trend. But these individuals have really, really high scores. What's causing them to have those super, super high scores? Is it education? Is it genetics? Is it environment? All those different factors. And so these are where we're really interested in finding a little bit more about why or how they're able to score so well. We also go into earlier detection, talking here about Dr. Jensen. She's looking at extracellular vesicles and looking at bloodstream, like different extracellular vesicles that are given out into your bloodstream, and then doing research to find are there certain RNA particles that are floating through your bloodstream that are given off from a cell that are pre-Parkinson's disease. So we can do a blood test earlier on to identify your risk factor of getting Parkinson's over time. Right now, currently diagnostics for Parkinson's, you're usually, when you're diagnosed, you've lost 70% of the neuron, and we can't get those neurons back, and you already are showing those signs of shakiness. If we can identify earlier detection and get drug treatment earlier, we can save some of those neurons so you don't have such a drastic change in your quality of life. So you can go a lot longer without having those shakes. So that earlier detection is big. We also work with smarter treatments. And so when we're looking at smarter treatments, we're looking at some of our our clinicians. So they are actually in the field working on clinical trials that they can then get a better understanding of, does this drug work? How effective is it? Is it a good one to take forth into human populations? And so Dr. Von Hoff is huge for this one of the pancreatic cancer research. Just this last year, he published on the TGEN triple threat, where he was given a combination of 3 different drugs in combination for pancreatic cancer patients. And what he was able to find is that 40% of those patients were alive after 2 years. And when you're looking at pancreatic cancer, that's a really great number, as most of the patients usually don't have much life to live once they've been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It's usually 6 to 8 months. And now he's getting people that are lasting, still alive after 2 years. We also have patients that have gone through his clinical trials that are alive 12 years later and pancreatic cancer free. So definitely great treatment plans and options for individuals with pancreatic cancer when there's so little currently known. And then the better outcomes, again, our Center for Rare Childhood Disorders with Dr. Narayanan, these are where we're looking at families where their child is declining. We're not sure why they're declining. They've gone through a series of different doctors and they found nothing. And so oftentimes we're their last resort. And so we'll do genomic sequencing and DNA sequencing on the child as well as both parents and any of the other siblings that we can. It is all paid for, so the families don't need to add any other bills to their list. And then we're able to continue to go back to that information, even 5 years post-mortem if they've lost their child. And if we are finding anything new in the research, we can bring that back to the families and give them some closure. Because a lot of times these families are just like, we don't know what happened, we don't know why they've passed away. But when we can give them a genomic reason, it does allow for some closure at the end. And so that's a lot of the research that we do, but taking that beyond the bench in our outreach, we do have podcasts, we have a YouTube channel, we have tours that we host virtually right now, and then we also do school presentations. So if you know anyone that is interested in learning more about TGEN, feel free to have them reach out to us. But within Education Outreach, Amanda and I, what we're really working on is knowledge and education. So knowledge, increasing the basic working knowledge of human genetics and genomics among the public and community at large. So really sharing what we know with the public so they all have a better understanding. But then also a huge driving force for our department is education. And so educating and training and inspiring the next generation of researchers and physicians. And so that's why you all are here with us today, so you can kind of learn about what TGEN offers college students. And so here we have one of our TGEN mentors working with one of our Helios scholars in a previous year. So here, different career types that we have as opportunities. We have bioinformaticians, which is data analysis and really digging into the data with coding. We have research associates, we have staff scientists, we have postdoctoral fellows, we have faculty professors, and we have research administration. These are all the different career types that you're seeing within TGEN, and all of these individuals have been mentors in the past for our Helios scholars. So what is Helios scholars? Again, as I had mentioned earlier with that question, we are hiring 45 summer interns for 2021 at least. These are undergraduate, graduate, and medical school students. It is a paid internship. It is 8 weeks full-time. If you need to take a day or two off, you can actually clear that with your mentor and your lab team. You are working with experienced TGEN scientists and mentors, and you're working on authentic research projects. So this is not an internship where you're getting paid to wash glassware and you're not really learning anything. This is an internship where you are getting paid to really get hands-on with the research and a better understanding of what bench work or bioinformatics is. Again, as I had mentioned, 16 years or older at the start of the program, you have to have Arizona residency, which is either that high school graduation or you're attending a college or university in Arizona, and then eligibility to work in the United States. Unfortunately, we are not able to sponsor any visas, but most individuals that are on those, they get work authorization. We just have to know that up front so that they can get all their paperwork done, but we cannot sponsor any. It is competitive, but I don't want to say that you shouldn't apply because we do not require any experience coming into this program. So you might be sitting here thinking, well, I have no experience in the lab, there's no way they'll take me. A lot of our researchers really appreciate having students with a fresh set of eyes that have never done anything, so they aren't having to train out some of those bad habits that can be formed. So we don't really worry about any experience overall. So with the application, and if you do like a Google Calendar or anything, I would definitely put a reminder in your calendar to make sure that you're checking us out December 14th. December 14th, our application will go live on our website. Our applications are due by 5 p.m. February 5th, 2021, and all of the application information is available at tgen.org/intern. The application link is currently obviously not live, but just come December 14th, it will be. What is the application? So it's a basic resume information, although we don't need a resume submitted. You just kind of copy and paste different parts of your resume into our system. You're writing a personal statement for us. The personal statement is going to be a 600-word maximum, or there's 3 short answers. Most people go with a 600-word max, where you're talking to us about why TGEN, why this could be beneficial to you in the future, what you hope to gain from the experience. These, I would definitely reach out to your career specialist to help you to make sure that it's a really well done personal statement. We don't need your resume written to us in a personal statement. We really want to know why. What is it about TGEN? And even if there's a particular lab or an area of TGEN or a research concept that you're really interested in, making sure that that's written into your personal statement as well. We also require 2 professional letters of recommendation. One has to be from a teacher or professor who has had you in class. The other can be more of a professional, like a job or whatnot, but especially because we are science-based, if you haven't had a science class, I recommend a science teacher. If you are a freshman right now and because of COVID, you aren't really close to your college professors, reach back out to your high school teachers. Obviously, we recognize this really interesting past 8-9 months and make accommodations for that. So if there's a high school teacher that really knew you well, reaching out to them to see if they're willing to write a letter of recommendation. The one thing that I do recommend to all individuals that I talk to when you're selecting who you're going to ask is that go prepared. So when you're going to ask somebody for a letter of recommendation, if the application is due on February 5th, don't ask them on February 4th. Don't even ask them on February 1st. Like, you've known about this since December. Ask them early. Give them time. I used to have to write letters of recommendation all the time, and my students would give me a day, and I'd look at them like, really? It's not going to be great. I'll write it, but it's not going to be great. So if you want a great letter of recommendation, first, give them time. Second, give them 4 or 5 things that you're really proud of that you've accomplished or that you've managed to get accomplished over the past couple of years. Any awards that you've had, any committees that you're on, any groups that you're part of, any sports teams, just so they can really beef that up and make sure that it's really personalized to you. Because most of your people that you're asking are going to have a form letter of recommendation that they can just plug and chug a couple things here and there. But when you give them a few pieces of information, it really makes your letter stand out above the other individuals that are applying. So here's just some of our students at work. We have here some wet lab research going on. These 3 students were all Helios scholars in bioinformatics. So they were working with coding. So they spent a lot of time on the computers, working on making new coding programs that were allowing us to get better reads of the DNA that were coming through their systems. When we're looking at the selection process overall, once our applications close on February 5th, Amanda and I get to read through all of the wonderful applications, and then we pass those once we've read through them, and we kind of start giving ideas as to, ooh, they really should go to this lab, or they should go to this group, they should go to Marcom, so different areas that we really see where you're interested. And then we send all of the applications out to a selection committee of TGEN faculty and staff to select our finalists. And so the selection committee, all of the selection committee each get a certain number of applications that they go through and they review, and they will allow that for them, or they'll suggest that they're definitely a finalist, or they're definitely not a finalist, or there's a maybe. And so then we kind of all get together with those maybes, and we look at those maybes again to see who really fits for the finalists. For round 2 of the application of finalists, the applications of the finalists are distributed to all of our different labs. So your application, if it looks like it would really fit for 2 or 3 different areas, we send your application to those 2 or 3 different areas to make sure that you have the most looks at your application. And so we recommend that the mentors interview finalists, but we do not require it. Some of our labs will actually just take you based on your application, and they won't meet with you at all. We don't track any of the interviews, so reaching back out to Amanda and I, we really can't tell you what's going on, as we don't know. We just wait for our labs to send us names of the individuals that they're going to be taking. And then applicants will be notified of acceptance by mail by April 2nd by the Education and Outreach Office. So we'll send a letter to you letting you know if you are selected for the Helios internship or if you are not selected. Within that, again, it's by mail, so we recommend that you give a couple days for the mail system to work. So I would say by, April 2nd is a Friday, so I would say by that following Friday, so April 9th, you should have your letter at that point, and then reach out to see your status. The program dates this summer are running from June 8th to August 3rd. And August 3rd, we currently have a symposium where you would be giving a poster presentation and potentially an oral presentation to all the other Helios scholars and any of the family and friends and other scientists that are able to join us. Again, different internship areas that we offer. We have laboratory or clinical research. We have the computer science, the informatics, the mathematics and statistics, which is all, if you're really into math and coding, this is a great space for you. We're always looking for bioinformaticians. And then also research administration, which includes your IT, which is information technology, like help desk work, legal, marketing, education, business development, project management. Not only are you learning the hard skills of science and the background of science research, you're also working on soft skills. We have lots of different soft skill training for our Helios scholars, where you're working on public speaking, you're looking at different career panels, so you're looking at other career opportunities and options that are available that lots of times we don't even think about. We do have a lot of our alumni that like to come back and speak with our Helios scholars. We do a lot of networking so that you're building your network overall. We work on scientific writing and abstract writing, interviewing skills, that perfect handshake, although this year it might be a fist bump as opposed to a handshake, and then professional etiquette overall. So things to think about when you're in the corporate world or even in the nonprofit world. During that research symposium at the very end, again, there's scientific poster presentations, there's oral presentations, and there's also competitions for other additional cash prizes. So not only are you getting paid throughout the summer, you have the potential to earn even more money by having a winning poster or just an amazing oral presentation overall. And so where are our alumni now? So we have over 550 alumni at this point in time. And so when we do different surveys on our alumni, 96% of them are stating that the program impacted their career or academic choices. So this is really a big game changer for a lot of students. So they really had a better understanding of what was going into this research and scientific biomedical research, and it kind of pushed them in different directions than maybe they thought they were going to be going. 90% of them are in STEM-related careers. So we still see a lot of our Helios scholars in a STEM-related career field of some sort, and 24% of them have graduate degrees, with 79% still pursuing an additional education. So if I'm looking at one of our first-year Helios scholars, he's currently a radiology oncologist, using that background from Helios scholars that really catapulted him and put him on a different level with his peers as he was going through and finishing his academic career. I have currently an intern on site right now for our Ivy Scholar. He was a Helios Scholar in 2019 with a finance. He was working on his finance degree. So you don't really like finance. Why are you applying for a Helios Scholarship? Well, he was really good with computers and coding, so I thought it would be interesting. And lo and behold, a year and a half later, he's no longer going for a finance degree, he's going for a finance minor. But his degree is actually working on biomedical research, or biomedical engineering and research. So definitely a shift in that bioinformatics space. So he's actually looking at PhD programs in bioinformatics right now. They've written grants. So our Helios scholars have written grants. They're published. They're writing scholarships. They're attending conferences and presenting at conferences. They go on to graduate schools, lots of different employers, including TGEN. We do have Amanda's a walking example of an individual that is a Helios scholar and working here at TGEN still, and lots of different careers from medical doctors, research assistants and associates, bioinformaticians, lots of different areas that this internship can allow. And so with that, I'll see if there's any other questions that I can entertain about Helios scholars, the application process, any of that good stuff. And Amanda, feel free to jump in if there's something that you think I missed.
There was a question in here. A student had asked, and you kind of answered some of this, but what are some of the qualifications you need to apply for the internship? I know you talked about the resume, personal statement, 2 professional letters of recommendations. Was there anything else?
There's really nothing else. Again, we do not require any experience. What we're really looking for are people that are going to get the most out of the program. And so really looking at that personal statement and seeing why TGEN, why this particular internship over other opportunities. So there's no specific requirements. So I feel like the application process is pretty simple. It's awesome to see, like we've had, so high school seniors can apply and they can get into the program because they would be considered undergraduate because they're in school for their fall 2021. And it's really interesting. Like I've had high school students that have never touched a pipette. They're just really interested in science. And so they get accepted into the program, and to see the amount of growth that they show over 8 weeks of time is just such an impressive amount. Our scientists and mentors are so good at sharing with our scholars, of pushing our scholars to do the most that they can within their boundaries so they're not overworked, really teaching them how to read those scientific articles and dive into literature and get better understanding of the background of the research that they're doing as well. It's just really impressive to watch.
I'll just say too, this sounds like a phenomenal opportunity for our students, and it also is great because you've given them some time to get those those teacher letter of recommendation started and their personal statements. So I just want to let the students on here today, if you do need help reviewing your personal statements, just want someone to edit it, we can help you with that. We can help you with resumes. So let us know how we can assist you, because this seems like an opportunity you don't want to miss out on.
It's also one of those, if you're not sure what your summer of 2021 is going to look like. I mean, we have our applications open early because our application process is lengthy. So if you're not sure, but you think maybe, apply. You might as well. Worst case scenario is we accept you into the program and you either accept and really are excited to be part of it, or you're like, my summer plans have changed. I can't do that any longer. And so we're always willing, I mean, if you need to retract your application at any point along the way because something's coming up, we understand that. We're not going to hold you to, oh my gosh, we accepted you, you have to be here. But definitely take the time. It's a great experience even to write the application. It's a great experience and a good starting point, especially early on in your career, to get used to that type of application process.
The only other question, I'm trying to go through my chat, making sure I'm not missing anything. It looked like a student asked, what makes an applicant stand out when screening for interns?
So on my end, the individuals that stand out to me are those individuals that have really done a little bit of research about TGEN. And, this presentation is definitely giving you some research about TGEN, like what our different areas are. When I have somebody talking to me about how they want to do biomedical engineering and they want to create these devices, and I'm like, well, you didn't really do a lot of research on TGEN. We're more precision medicine, and we do work and do collaborations with people that are making devices, but we aren't really technically making devices here on site. We are making potentially new drugs and new therapies and new treatments, but really understanding what TGEN is all about. And then the other thing that I really look at when I'm looking at applications to see who I think would be making a good finalist are those individuals that really show that they're excited and they're really interested and are proving to me that this internship will provide some benefit to them. So really sharing how this, other than a resume filler, what is this internship really going to mean to you? What's it going to help to provide for you for your future? And Amanda, oftentimes you have some other points just because you have a little bit of a different background, if you have anything you want to share.
I think the other thing our reviewers look for is just an honest application. Being very clear in your application and concise when you write that letter about yourself, why you want to be here at TGEN. Just be open and honest. You don't need to know everything that researcher's done. You don't need to toot your own horn like I've done this many labs and I have this many experience. Just be open and honest about who you are, why you want to do this. And sharing those bits of information will allow your application to stick out among other applications of students that have possibly had similar classes and similar experiences to you by having that little bit of personal touch to it.
I just put a link in the chat. I'm not sure if everyone can see that. Kristen and Amanda, can you see that? Is that a good link for direct information where they can find a recap?
Yeah, that's definitely the big long one. We always shorten it so it's a little easier to remember at just tgen.org/intern, and that will take you to this exact website.
Perfect.
It's just a little bit shorter, more concise.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I know that a few individuals arrived a little bit late, so if for any reason you weren't able to view the full presentation, we've dropped Lindsay's email in the chat. So feel free to connect with us after the event or shoot us an email and we can send you the recording so you could view the entire presentation as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for having us. Thank you for taking time out of your lunch to join us at TGEN. If you ever have any other questions or if you want to take a look around, we do offer public tours. I'm also recording a tour the next day for my college students in my college class, so I can always send you a recording of our tour as well if you're interested. So always look up, ask some questions if you have any questions, and good luck.
Thank you, Amanda and Kristen, as well. This was a wonderful presentation. I am amazed and want to apply as well. So students, definitely take this opportunity into consideration. It sounds like it would help your knowledge, your career goals, and your resume.
Yes, thank you so much, Kristen. Thank you, Amanda. And again, students, just reach out. If you have any questions, you can always find our website online as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.